Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey,
Good
Rob.
morning.
Our first Thursday edition of the Friday Mastermind.
A spinoff.
Exactly. So I asked kind of the collective group to do a little bit of homework, and I wanted to get your impression on, the three things. One is, let's just be realistic and say, in your market, right, where you're, competing every day, what are you the best at doing? Okay. Number two, and when you do an internal look, what is the one thing that you really need to improve upon? And then the third thing is basically, what do we need to be disciplined in doing more of? And I'm just curious to see, what the self-reflection aspect of that turns up. And there's a secret behind this. So I don't know if there's anybody that wants to volunteer. Like, what do you feel like you're really, rock solid, the best in your market on that nobody can, touch you? Maybe the best of the best are equal with you, but nobody's gonna show you up on this.
Can you repeat the three again? Because I didn't quite understand the three.
So the question is, Ron, what are you the best of in your market? Like, what do you do really well that you really feel that nobody can, surpass you in that? Okay, whether it's maybe it's a listing conversation, maybe it's submitting a buyer offer. What are you amongst the best in your market at? When we look in the mirror, what do we realistically need to improve upon? And sometimes that's hard to look and say, this is what I need to improve upon to better serve my clients. And then the third thing that I wanted to ask everybody is, what do we all know that we should be doing more of that we're not? Like, what are we procrastinating on? And I just wanted to get some feedback, so maybe I could add more value to the group.
Well, the best of, I guess it would be my listing presentation, it would probably what I'm best at. And
Okay.
actually communicating with the owners, want to improve. Well, because I'm a trainer and I'm not as active as some of the agents are, I would say prior to this would be more prospecting. So I would need more improvement in prospecting. I would say knocking on doors, I mean, it's hot as hell down here, and knocking on doors after we do 10 doors, it's like, oh God. So I'm getting Ryan to do most of it because he's a younger guy. More of. Well, what can we do that's more of? Well,
So I think you put that answer in number two, which is more prospecting, right?
yeah.
And what do you need to improve upon to serve your clients better? You didn't really answer that, because like in the client experience, Ron, whether it working with a buyer that you met in an open house or was referred to you, or when it's working with the challenging listing, like, what do you need to improve upon to better serve your clients at the absolute highest level? And I'm going to throw this out there, knowing you, Ron, but are you like a 9 or a 10 on, investment real estate and cap rates and cash on cash returns? Or is that something that you might be able to improve upon so that you can be, the best in your market?
Yeah, I'm not too sharp on that. So that's something that I've really never got into too much in the real estate and helping investors. Although I did sell many commercial properties before, but as far as more of is probably listening better. Having more communication with the people that I talk with to see the search for the right problem, which so I can find a solution.
Right. Okay. That really opened yourself up, and you were vulnerable there. I think that was very honest, and I appreciate you sharing those two. Anybody else like wanted to just give me a little bit more content here before I kind of go into, my take on it? Anybody else, like, who wants to brag about what you feel like you're the amongst the best or the best in your local market? I mean, who knows the inventory in their primary market better than anybody else in the market? Is there anybody on the call that can claim that moniker?
Hi, good morning, Rob. Good morning, everyone.
Hey,
This
Carmen
is
Bosch.
Karma. Hi, how are you? Okay,
Well,
this is Karma.
So Karma has more seniority than anybody on this call.
Uh,
I gave her retro seniority. She was with my first Remax office back in 1996, and she just joined our team. Welcome, Remax to Princeton. Thanks for sharing, Karma. Go ahead.
you're welcome. I'm a lister. I like to list home. And to answer the question that you have, what I do, I have a farm area, like in different location. different township, and I send a community update for this farm area that I have, to tell them what the home being in the market and how much is it sold for. And some people say, Karma, you're giving this information to the homeowners. What do you need you for? What actually my goal is to tell the homeowner, please don't give your house away for less price. Number two, to tell them, I am here if you need my help. The thing actually, this is what I need to improve, is this letter should be a community update, should send at least every other month. Sometime if I get so busy, I like this is the area I want to improve, to be more disciplined, to distribute my flyer at least every other month. And my client, they are the one sustain me for a bad market and a good market. And what I'm trying to do is to advise anyone, choose an area, farm area for you. Okay, it doesn't come out immediately. It takes time until people know you. But I tell you, those people, once they know you, they are not going to go nowhere else except you. Thank you.
So Karma, you are liking to become the mayor of the area, for lack of a better term, because everybody gets to know you at a level of giving value, and hoping that when you give that value, that it will come back to you, which I completely agree on. Does that sum that up, right? You want to be the go-to person because you keep giving before you ask, or you keep giving before they say, hey, I have a need, now I need to reach out to Karma?
Well, in order to take, you have to give first. You give the people first information, so to help them out in the market. Also, it's not just giving; it's both way. It's saying, "Hey, I'm here if you need my help." And in the meantime, most of the time when I go for listing, when I go for that listing, that date they have to sign for me.
Yep.
So once you are out, you are not going to get this listing. You need to focus in the time when you are in and when you have the time to do.
So I'm going to kind of summarize what I see with the group here. And I see like Alexa's name up on the from Plantation on there. And I was so impressed, by when I talked to Alexa about her objection handling skills, and how they haven't gotten rusty over the years, and that you can just spurt them out automatically so that you can get over the objections that are not real and get to the heart of the matter. I don't know if you're on mute and you're dark on your camera, but I just wanted to say how impressed I was with that. So with regard to, what are we doing the best, and how does that help? Our audience here, the vast majority, if not everybody on this call, you guys really take an interest in your clients like I've never seen, and you care about what happens. And, maybe, one of the things that kind of falls back on that, caring and being of value, is appropriately sharing with people how you solve problems so that you can help other people to overcome those problems. And then in the process, not only do you feel good, but your bank account gets a little bit bigger because you're doing the right thing. And it's probably not the commonplace for this group to say, $500,000 on a board, that's what I want to do. Maybe it's like, I want to help 30 people, buy a house, is more common amongst the group that I see than, throwing out a number there. And I think that's very admirable. And I think we need to figure out a way that we can, leverage that relationship and figure out, how we can put three things all together. Maybe the one thing is, like, we really care about our clients. We know the business that we're in, like, we're not doing things that we don't know. So for example, in New Jersey, you're not going to go from Paramus and sell a house in Manahawkin unless you're competent, because it's 2 hours away. And then the second piece is, what can we improve upon so that we can, help more people what can we do so we can help more people enjoy that experience? Because I would say, and some people, might disagree aggressively, that the serotonin or the things in our brain that make us want to do things again is more influenced by, a smile, a happy experience, a satisfied client than it is by, selling a house that had 3% versus a 2.5% commission. Is there anyone that's going to disagree? Like, at the end of the day, when you have your closing check, that, a great experience, a client that loved the process, that's going to refer you business, is not more valuable than, selling them a house that had a 0.5% higher commission?
Yep, absolutely.
I
And I think,
agree too. I feel that, and I hear from agents all the time that have, transactions that didn't go well, that they really should leave the business, compared to the opposite, when they have something that went well, first-time home buyer, somebody that's buying the home because their family's increasing, just the joy. And if you look at the comments and the pictures at the closings, I mean, the energy from that radiates. I think it gives
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go
No,
ahead,
I'm sorry.
Ron.
Well, it's the referrals, like Rob was just saying. You do a good job for somebody, they're going to refer you to your friends. So there's more commission for you down the road if you do the right job. So making a 0.5% less and seeing the people happier and appreciative of your time and service is more rewarding than that 0.5%.
I mean, I'm going to liken it back to the days when I was a loan originator and we had a partnership with a national company, and they were encouraging people they were encouraging their sales team to write products called the pay option arm, okay, which was not in the client's best interest, but they were paying double the commission to the branch and like 50% more to the originator to incentivize them to do something that was wrong. And I can tell you that we didn't write one pay option arm because it wasn't good for the client. The interest rate was higher. You were deferring principal. And then somewhere down the road, the payment could catch up with you and put you at peril with your home. Okay, so our team, and we had 6 or 7 or 8 people that were originating. Nobody there ever wrote a pay option arm, even though there was an argument that it might be good for somebody on Wall Street that's financially sophisticated, gets a big bonus at the end of the year. But we did not write one of those because that just didn't feel consistent with our values, our morals in doing the business. So that's an example of, a related industry, but, not getting a 3.5 or a 3% buyer side commission versus a 2 or 2.5 to do the right thing for your client. Okay. And I will tell you that even if something is not paying any commission, if you help somebody buy it, there's a good chance that they might just say, you know what, I know you didn't ask for a commission. I want to pay you something. And it may not be what you wanted to say, hey, I'll give you 1%. Or maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, I'm going to refer you to my boss who has 3 houses to sell. The universe has a really strange way of rewarding people who do the right thing. Okay. Kind of getting off of the topic here a little bit, but that's really something that I want to have in our subconscious mind. I want it to be, connected to, I want our behaviors to be connected to, doing the right thing and looking at the long game, not the short game, right? Because in the short term, you might have an extra $2,000 or $3,000, but if the client feels like you sold them the wrong house, or they don't feel, over the moon that you did the right thing, and they can probably even read your body language if you did something that was probably a little bit more balanced to your interest versus theirs. Your vision was clouded by dollars and cents. Um, so anyway, I kind of go off a little bit here, but that's why these are really great meetings. Um, and once we identify those three things, what are we, the best at? We don't want to, avoid being good at it. We want to make sure we keep those skills fresh, add to what we might be a little bit vulnerable on. And then to your point, Ron, we need to get the word out there. We need to do some more prospecting. And what type of prospecting do you mostly do, Ron? I think I know what it is, but I'm going to ask you, or your son and your students.
Well, I'm getting the agents that I'm working with to call expireds and FISBOs, but a lot of our business is coming from cold calling our farm area, cold calling areas that we circle prospects. So wherever we sold a house at, we'll call that area. We'll call it. Sometimes we'll get stale in one area and we'll move to another different location. But cold calling is our biggest.
Or so by owner.
So cold calling for that's what I suspected, and maybe this is something that's not top of mind with you, Ron, but maybe some of that cold calling, that hardcore marketing needs to be supplemented by talking to your clients, what we usually call past clients, but I'm going to use the word clients because they're clients for life, and our sphere of influence, and maybe having a different message to communicate with them. Like when you call your clients or your sphere, what do you typically say? Anybody want to be vulnerable and volunteer? Like, I want to keep in better touch with my sphere or my clients. What do I say when I call?
Well, I guess what I do is I'm always in touch with my past clients, either every 3 months or sooner. But what I do is I go on Zillow and I take a picture of their house, a screenshot, and Zillow gives their Zillow estimate. So I'll send my client or past client the picture of the screenshot and say, look what I just saw on Zillow. I have my opinion. What is yours? Meaning, price wise. And a lot of them respond, well, what do you think? And I'll come back with either a number or say, are you guys thinking about selling? Are you? And I get them to react that way.
Does anybody ever hear of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you heard of Gary, right? You think he's is he credible?
Yeah.
So what Gary talks about in one of his books is it's jab, 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 right hook. Anybody ever remember that analogy? David, you know that, right? And I think what we miss in the industry is sometimes it's okay just to call, not even about real estate, or to text them, say, hey, David, I was just thinking about you. How's everything going? Or, Ron, just wondering, how's your son doing in real estate? Right? Having these questions that have nothing to do with real estate, just to humanize us, because we really are, we're creatures that like to that are on this earth to help people, and we just kind of fumble our way, and we think that we always need to have an angle or a pitch when we're making that call. So maybe
Sorry.
Go ahead, Colleen.
I always tell the agents, and they say, well, I haven't talked to people for such a long time. I say, with everything that's happened with the pandemic and everything else, it's perfectly viable for you to call and say, I haven't spoke to you in a while. I was going through my past client files, and I said, I feel so guilty. I haven't talked to you. How are you guys doing? What's going on? I had an agent who was very, very good at that. She would keep notes on birthdays, anniversaries, and so on. So when she would call them, she'd call them for an anniversary, she'd call them for a birthday, but she'd stay in touch on a personal level. I go back to that course that I had taken a while ago, and the book I read, People First. When you put people first, you will always succeed. because you can't miss. You know, when you're helping people, it becomes a way of life. And I think people, when you call them on a personal level, are really excited. I told the story before. I had somebody calling, doing this, an agent in our plantation office, and she was invited to dinner. They hadn't talked to her in, I think, 4 or 5 years, and they were so excited to hear from her. Yeah, agents, we have to remember we make an emotional connection with these people. And when we don't stay in touch, they feel rejected and that we don't care about them any longer. It was all about the money.
So
Staying in touch emotionally. Go ahead, Ron.
Colleen, I want to just put this out there, and I think it's going to be an interesting experience. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer that was invited to a wedding, a birthday party for a child, like these family gatherings as an agent? Anybody on this call want to, put their hand up and say this has happened? So I see David, I see Robert Garver. Do I have a third person?
I think Lisa has.
So Lisa, so let's start with Lisa. So Lisa, you were invited to a client's, retirement, birthday party, anniversary, correct?
Yes, I have been.
Okay, and you knew those people primarily or exclusively through doing a real estate transaction, correct?
Well, no, I was invited and then I got a real estate transaction from it
Okay,
because of socializing.
I want to flip it. I want to flip it backwards. Anybody that has sold somebody a house and then after selling them a house, they invited you. And sorry, Lisa, I don't mean to downplay that. That's great, but my story has a spin to it. So
No
Robert,
problem.
you had that, right? You had somebody that you sold a house to and they invited you to a family function.
Yes. Yeah, back when I was fairly new as an agent, one of my first clients, I sold them a townhouse, and I stayed in touch with them, and he referred somebody to me, and then he called me up and said that they were having a party for his eldest daughter, and they'd love for me to come and bring my wife and enjoy the celebration with them. And I think it's important to the story to point out that this was an Indian family. And when my wife and I showed up at the party, we were the only ones there who weren't Indian. But it was a wonderful celebration. And after that, I was invited to other parties within this community and fundraising events, and generated a lot of business for me.
I mean, you pierced the business circle and you became friends, right?
Yes,
And it was,
absolutely. And to this day, I'm still friends with them, and we're still doing business from time to time.
and it wasn't fake, false, manipulated. You genuinely care about those people. That's
Right.
that's what I wanted to hear. Anybody else have a story similar to that? And then I'm going to drive the nail home in a second.
Well, actually, I had the same experience also with Indian family. I do participate in their events. They usually have a different event twice a year, and I participate in it in financial. I participate in it. Sometimes they like to offer like food or cold drink or whatever, and I take care of that cost. And I tell
Well,
you, I mean,
well,
just doing that, it is amazing.
Well, that's overly generous, Karma, as usual. And I've seen people get invited to communions, bar mitzvahs, and the point I'm going to make and drive the spike into the wood here is, at these events, do you see their attorney? Generally not. Do you see their home inspector? Probably not. Do you see their medical doctor, their dentist, their accountant, their attorney? No. I mean, we sell homes. It's a very personalized experience. Think about that. Right now, Robert, was the attorney there?
No,
Was the home inspector?
no,
Was it, do you think his CPA was there?
no.
Or you were just amongst family, right?
It's just amongst family, yes.
And think about how impressive that is, right? And that's because you really, cared about people and you put them above, the higher commission or um, your own monetary or financial gain. Like that's really the fiduciary piece, paying big dividends, right? Because I've been invited when I actually had when I was a lender, I was invited, but I think I was a little bit of an exception. But and I was just amongst family. It was very interesting. There weren't other professionals that were invited to these events, or maybe they were invited and didn't show up. Shame on me, but I don't think they were invited. And that's the responsibility that we have. And the third point we talked about with Ron about doing certain things more frequently. Even if you're not somebody that's motivated by money, and we all need money to exist and sustain ourselves, but maybe money is not one of the top 2 or 3 things that motivates you. But think about the feeling that you get by being able to help more people by doing the right things, right? By reaching out to people and having a conversation. And Ron, I love the idea about the Zestimate thing. Maybe you could supplement that with 3 other calls saying, hey, how did Johnny do in his first soccer tournament? And how's Kelly doing at Princeton University, right? And having those non-business conversations. And sometimes when you have these non-threatening conversations, business comes onto you, right? You're just you call them up to see genuinely, Ron, how you doing? And you say, hey, my neighbor's getting divorced. Can you help him out? I gave him your card and I asked him if I could have you call him. It's so weird that you called, and I'm sure when you call people, sometimes they're saying, wow, this is so bizarre that you call me because I have this particular need or I know somebody, even without asking.
I get that once in a while, yeah.
So jab, 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 right hook. So the jabbing is, just being genuine. And then the right hook is asking for business, right? So I think you probably should have 2 to 4 jabs and then 1 right hook. And I don't mean to be violent in my description here, but the right hook is saying, hey, who do you know who I could help? Or what do you think about the value of your house? Or, when it comes time for you to move, are you staying in plantation? Like all of those type of conversations.
Rob, I got one other quick story that really plays into this, and from another angle. I had a listing, and an agent from out of town brought the buyer, and they bought the house, but over time, I got to know the buyers really well, and eventually, they had a Kentucky Derby Day party, and they invited us to the party. And I walked in and I saw that the agent who had originally brought the house was also there. And in the middle of the party, the buyer grabbed my arm and walked me out of the room into another room and said that he'd gotten a new job out of town and he was going to have to relocate, and he wanted me to handle the transaction. And I looked at him and I said, I'd love to. I said, what about your original agent who's there also? And he said, well, we invited her because, but we really haven't spoken to her and seen her or anything since we moved in 4 years ago. And we've become good friends with you, and so we'd like you to do it because we love the way you presented the house too. So,
And I think, also, Robert, probably they, might have subconsciously knew you were the better candidate for the job too, right?
yes,
Maybe they were friendly with both, but they didn't want to tell the person that, hey, I trust Robert in selling my house, not, you. And that kind of goes into play with a lot of times when there are relatives. Oh yeah, my sister-in-law just got her license. That's a whole nother story. But if we can anchor our behaviors and our decision making to the emotion of a satisfied client and changing people's lives. So when I first got into the real estate side, I bought the Remax of Princeton office in '96. I think there were about 45 agents there. And one of the things I had in my mind was there was a mentor that I had who, when I was in the lending business, kind of, motivated me and also kept me grounded. And I think like that was something that at the time I didn't really realize was probably so instrumental. But as I look back, I think it really helped me tremendously in my career. I said to myself, it would be great if, when I retire, there were 100 people that can say that I was that person to them that, Greg was to me when I was, new in the business, and basically changed my life where, a 21-year-old 5 years later could buy the largest Remax in New Jersey. It's kind of crazy. Was a pretty good mentor. And, maybe now I can even have an audience larger than helping 100 people, change their life, and maybe your goal can be, I want to change the life of 100 people that are in my sphere or client list, right? Because has anybody ever had a client come to you and say, I'm so glad that you helped me because, everybody in my family was always a renter and now I'm in the home ownership cycle and I really feel like I'm, getting up in the game. I mean, that really changes even your identity. I'm a homeowner, right? And I'm sure some of us, maybe you're bashful on this call, but I'm sure some of you have had experiences where somebody came to you and maybe you didn't even think you did anything extraordinary, but they said, hey, you know what? You really gave me the confidence to be the first person in my family to buy a home, and you changed my whole life because now I have equity in a house and, I can buy another house. Like, it's a game changer. Anybody, and I know you've had it because I've seen some of you had clients come in and share that, that 5 years later they referred their neighbor to you, and then they're telling you that story.
Rob, it's Denise. Can I share something because similar experience to yours,
Sure.
but I had such a positive experience when I helped a woman and her daughter purchase her first home on her own, who had landed in a woman's shelter for a number of months and had left an abusive situation. And I was able to get her into housing and buy her first home.
So you remember the experience, but I bet you don't remember how much you earned on that, do you? Because it doesn't matter.
I don't remember at all what the money was, and I would have done it for free.
That's what I'm saying. So, recognizing, what we're doing really well, recognizing what we need to improve upon to deliver a better experience to that woman in a homeless shelter, that person who's the first person in their family buying a house, that person that's relying upon you to sell your house when they're relocating out of the area. Like, we need to up our game, okay, so that we can really be even more deserving of the business that we get. And then, the third thing, to Ron's point, is we probably need to talk to more people. And maybe it's not all about, hey, you're thinking about selling, but maybe that's the right hook after 3 or 4 conversations. And, like Zig Ziglar has a quote which says, you can have anything you want if, who can finish that? Any Zig Ziglar fans? You can have anything you want if, come on, you guys are holding back on me. Alexa, you know the answer to that, right?
Sorry, I don't know that.
So Zig Ziglar said that if you, yes, that's right. If you help other people get what they want. So if you just help enough other people get what they want, you'll have whatever you want. But if you figure out, hey, I want this, and then you work backwards, it's kind of different. It doesn't really have the same meaning. So think about that. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll be able to have whatever you want.
True.
Okay.
True, Rob. I had experienced sometime, it put tears in my eyes, that when somebody called me after 15 years, he said, Karma, I'm planning to, my daughter, she actually wants to buy a home, and I give her your name and number. It's not just keeping my name with him, with my phone number for 15 years. That is absolutely really put tears in my eyes. That's exactly what you say. When you feel their need, you don't have to worry about your need. Your need will become automatic.
Yep. And just looking here really quickly for you. So one thing that I would love to do, if there's a desire, is, I don't know if Fozzie is still, Foz, are you still on?
No.
Okay, so I'd love to set up, and Colleen, you're still on, I see you there. If we could get an audience of people that want to learn about residential investment properties, I'll call it, okay, a really basic level. And this would help us have a conversation, saying, hey, David, have you ever thought about, investing in real estate, when you're having those conversations with your sphere and your clients? And it's not a sales pitch. Okay. There are some people that oh, it's a horrible time to buy real estate now. Interest rates are up, blah, blah, blah. But you can find properties that make sense. Okay. And I've seen, when I was doing lending, so many people who had high net worth. You know where they got most of their net worth from? Owning real estate. Yep. And you have a doctor who rented a building for 35 years, and you have a doctor that opened two stores, owns two buildings. At the end of their career, you know where more of their wealth is housed? Not in the money that they took home. It's in the equity in the real estate. Yep. I mean, I was door knocking with Nicole Palmieri and Vaca. And I actually door knocked on a door that I knocked on years earlier, and the gentleman was retired, and he was living the life because he had a vet practice with 3 locations, and he sold his business just so that he could sell the real estate based upon the cash flow. It was really interesting.
I met a guy the other night who has the same thing going on. He has 15 locations and he's about to sell all of them. He's just got a buyer, so it's the same thing. The story about what you're talking about earlier, I make it a point every day, by the way, to reach out and say, hi, hello, how are you, to a number of people. And instead of the sales pitch, which I hear so many agents talk about, if you just have it in your daily planner to call and reach out to these people and be their friend. When you say, have you ever been invited to a bar mitzvah, a wedding? I get invited to every client of mine's family functions because they all feel like family. I make them not just feel like a friend or that I care. You say, I think Ron said every 3 to 6 months, these people are on my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my Facebook. You can limit what people see. You just choose what they're allowed to see. But if they feel like they're part of your life and you're a part of theirs, when it's their family's anniversaries, when it's their kids' graduations, and it's part of my day to just say congratulations. And those consistent, just hellos, they can't stop but think of you. I mean, I just got 3 referrals from an agent I did deals with in Midtown Miami in 2000. I think we did 6 sales in 2012, 2013, and he doesn't have anybody else on the west coast of Florida. So he thought of me, and there's, $6.5 to $7 million in potential deals right now we're talking about. So it's just, with the way we live today with social media, there's no reason not to stay in touch and say, hi, hello, how are you? And you see Facebook alerts you daily whose birthday it is that day. Pick up the phone, take 10 minutes and wish them all a happy birthday. What's it take?
Yep, we could all up our game there, and I appreciate you sharing.
I have clients that their children follow me on Instagram, which I think is so cute. Now they're college students, but I knew them when they were young, and I always wish them happy birthday. I sent them, a little gift when they graduated high school. They're twins, and it's interesting, that dynamic remains.
You know, when I
So-
tell the agents when I'm sorry, but when I tell the agents when we have our class is to whenever you have a closing, you know, get a copy of their driver's license or so that you can see where their birthdays are and you can put them in your CRM or put them in your past client base. And this way you'll have their birthdays and also ask them when their anniversaries are. I mean, and put that in your CRM so that you can send them out a card. You know, when I call my past clients every 3 months, I'll say, hey, John, this is Ron. They go, hey, Ron. It's like I just talked to him like yesterday. And they say, hey, Ron, what's going on? I never have anybody go, who's this? Because when they say that you're in trouble. So when they say, who's this? That's not good. So when they say, you know, hey, Ron, or, you know, hey, Colleen, they already know who you are. And this is really important that you stay in touch with them. But sending them out a gift or a birthday wish, like Dave was just saying, that's really important, and that'll keep you in front of anybody else that's when it comes to referring you or to get a listing. It's always a good idea.
The other
Well-
good idea is after you sell someone a house, if you touch base with them a few weeks after, just calling to see how you're doing, how are you enjoying your home. A
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of agents are afraid to do that because they're afraid they're going to hear, oh, well, this is wrong, that's wrong, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it's touching people in a way that shows you care is
Yeah.
what makes the difference. And I think that's Rob's whole point, is showing that it's not just a business for you, that you're emotionally tied to seeing people enjoy the ownership of a home. I mean, home ownership is very intimate.
Yeah, even if
Go
they
ahead.
do ask you, you know, well, there's something wrong with here or something wrong. Say, okay, no problem. Why don't you just call me and let me know? I can always send my handyman there or my plumber or my electrician, whatever it is. Offer that service provider to them, and they would appreciate it. So it doesn't matter whether or not they're complaining about something. You offer your help.
I think the best thing
Absolutely.
is that, you know, a lot of the closings the last couple of years, I send all of these buyers, my pool guy, my landscaper guy, you know, these people tell me how these buyers are liking their new home. And so when I pick up the phone and call them, I said, "Oh, I heard Chris did your pool yesterday, and you got new patio furniture." And that connection that you know what they've done or what's going on, they bought a new couch. It's like they feel this intimate bond, which is so different than 99% of agents, because agents just move on and so transactional. Like Ron said, you know, so many clients, I hear so many people say, "Oh, honey, what was our agent's name? I don't remember." That's obviously a big problem. That just doesn't happen for us. It can never happen.
Yeah, it's that giving, David, that does uh provides dividends when you do it. And I remember probably now it's maybe a little over a year ago, I got a call and they called me Bobby. I'm like, who the heck is this person, right? They're like, oh yeah, hey Bobby, so and so needs to sell their house, and I was just taking the notes down, and I'm like, yeah, I made an appointment for you to go over there and give them a valuation. And I'm sure that they'll be listing their house this week. I think the spouse went into a like nursing home, and this was one of his vendors. I forget if it was like an electrician or a painter, but I was there like taking notes. I didn't want to tell him I wasn't Bobby, and I wasn't even sure who it was for. But then we gave him the address. It was in Woodbridge. I called Bobby Gold and I'm saying, hey Jim, whatever his name was, gave me this information. You have an appointment on Thursday to list a house. That's like the type of selflessness that happens when you do call and you say, hey, how is the house? And you're not like, oh my God, I hope there's no problem. You're like, if there's a problem, hey, I'm here to try to help you out. Let me refer you to the pool guy. If there's a problem, hey, aren't you glad you bought a warranty? If they like these are things that if you do the right things, like it makes sense, right? Hey, aren't you glad you bought a warranty? Let me you give you the 800 number to call to get that fixed. Or if they didn't, say, hey, I know somebody that's not going to take advantage of you.
I recently started doing like an event a month or a get together once a month with my closest vendors, and we really go at each client like we're a team, and the way we communicate and we support each other, it's so different because the clients will feel that my team is so much bigger and we are all these people. So from the lender down to the home inspector, it's the clients a month later, 6 months, a year later, they're thinking, wow, this is unbelievable. It's like we're just infiltrating their family, and they can't get away from me as the agent or any of these people because we're always around to help.
That's a
So-
great idea, to get together with your service providers. How do you do it? Do you do it virtually, or do you guys?
No. I'm very handshake, look in the eyes. So Top Golf is a great thing because you can be as competitive or as not as possible. So some people are just eating and drinking. Some people are playing golf and competing to win the game. And it gives everybody an opportunity to kick back and relax. I smoke cigars, so I'll bring, if there was women there that don't smoke, they'll be with the girls, they'll be with their boyfriends and husbands, and not smoking. Well, the other guys will talk over a cigar, and we connect on a deeper level, and it makes these people feel important. It'll also remind them that I go above and beyond for them and look out for their business, so that they think of me whenever they can refer me a possible seller. But at the end of the day, when, like, for example, today I have a home that's being inspected. I think there's like 6 or 7 different inspections. It's a Remax agent's brother who's moving to Sarasota from Tucson, Arizona, and he can't get out of the way, thinking like he needs to do everything that happens out there over here. So I've had 7 different inspections on this one home. Between today and tomorrow, there's going to be 7 inspections, and the connection I have with these different people, from septic, from mold, radon, the home inspector, every single person, when they touch that seller, they touch the buyer, these people are coming and talking like if these are my brothers or these are my sisters in crime. And we're just like this whole team. It's not like some random person that I just Googled here and, oh, I need that. I've invested to build these relationships with these people, and it changes the whole game, because moving forward, that client will never forget how he didn't even know what he needed. And then when I gave it to him, wow, him and his wife, just David did everything. We didn't have to think.
So,
Yeah.
so a couple of things before my short-term memory mind forgets it. On the 18th or the 19th, and Colleen, if you could collaborate with Fozzie and see if we can get any people interested to meet in person, like David said, and I'll do a 90-minute to 2-hour home investment workshop analysis. And this is not designed for your home flippers, your career investment people. This is designed for somebody that you sold a house for that maybe would like to buy an investment property and put their kid through college, sell it and put their kid through college when that time comes, or to a self-employed person that doesn't own their building and maybe wants to look into buying a building or buying some investment property, so that when they do retire without a pension, that they have some residual net worth. And you need to do it because you care, not because you want to like think of a different way to build up an extra income stream. You want to do it because you want to feel more complete as an agent, so that you can help somebody who has other real estate needs besides, a single family condo, the meat and potato stuff that we do now. So in Florida, I'm going to, on Monday, the 18th, or Tuesday, the 19th, Colleen, if you can kind of poll the group and see if there's a date that works better and pick a location. And I know
Absolutely.
some of you may have to drive an hour, but I promise it'll be worth it. And then you can have those conversations. And, if you talk to 10 people, I'd be shocked if 2 people didn't say that they had thought about investing in real estate. And I did this in New Jersey 3 or 4 years ago. And there's an agent that's making well over $250,000 a year just by making, I think he does 5 or 10 calls and he has 2 or 3 conversations a day, and it's changed his business. So it's a good thing. Helps you be confident. It's not very difficult. You don't need to be overly intimidated. I give you a simple spreadsheet. Your leadership team and myself are available if you have any questions on how do you deal with this or that. The next thing I just want to say, and in New Jersey, I'd like to do that the week of the 25th if there's any interest. If you want to just respond to my email that will go out, I'll put something there so I can keep track of all the RSVPs for New Jersey, and then Colleen and Fozzie will coordinate Florida for Monday or Tuesday. The last thing I want to do to wrap this up is I want to say, what would you do in real estate if you knew you couldn't fail? Like, what would you be doing? And, I'd like you just to kind of write this down. It's not something I want everybody to share, but what would you do differently if you knew you wouldn't fail? And I'm looking at Ron, maybe you'd be talking to for sale by owners if you found a strategy that you knew you could help them, or expireds, or, circle prospecting, or mega open houses, or what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And then the next step is, we need to have this mindset. I know when I do X as many days in a row, Y will happen, right? So that might be, I know if I do calling for 2 hours a day, in 5 days, I'll have a listing appointment. And in 10 days, I'll have a marketable listing, right? We need to know what those measures are so that we don't quit at day 3, right? If it's a 5-day investment. And chances are, if you're doing calling for FSBOs and expireds, would you think you're better on day 3 or day 10? What do you think, guys, ladies? Are you better on day 3 or day 10 after you've been practicing and honing your skills? I think day 10. And this will give you, predictable results, scalable results, and dare I say, automatic results. Predictable, scalable, and automatic. Because if we know when we do X activities, Y is the result, that becomes automatic. Okay. And you know that you can help, 4 people buy a house every month if you just do X, Y, and Z, or X for, 2 hours a day, or you do 5 phone calls to your sphere and your client saying, hey, just want to touch base. One of the conversations just had, you ever thought about investing in real estate? That's not a sales pitch. Hey, I have this investment that I want you to look at. Or you might even have a different conversation saying, hey, you know what? This investment team at my brokerage came up with 5 properties. 2 of them look really interesting. Have you ever thought about investing? If you have, I'd like to share them with you. And there are, I'm going to say 4, maybe even 5 or 6 that I'll repeat that for you again, Jay. There's 4, maybe even 6 agents that I know that went through this investment course that have actually been looking at properties for their clients and said, this one might be a really good investment. What do you think? And they've actually started buying investment property themselves, which to me, I think is really cool because you believe in the product that you're talking about, right? So the 3 things that I mentioned, Jay, were predictable, scalable, and automatic, right? So, if you do X, you can expect Y. If you know what the activities are, you can scale it, right? So if you make 2 hours of calls 3 days a week or 5 days a week, you get 4 listings. If you wanted to get 8 listings, what do you think you need to do, Jay? Double it, right? Double up on it. Or if you get to the point, double the effort. Yep. Double it up or leverage yourself. All right, that's great. And the referral, shout out to Marlene Howard. Cool. So predictable, scalable, automatic. What would you do differently if you knew you couldn't fail? And then the last thing that I want to mention is, if you think these are valuable and that it's helping you maybe think differently, even if I can improve your game by 1% a week over the year, with the magic of compounding, you've probably doubled your skill set. Right? I'm not looking to say I want to make David Haller 20% better today, but if I can just make you a tiny bit better today, David, and you continue to do it, that cumulative effect is going to be massive.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you to go out of your way to talk to a colleague that's not on these meetings and just say, look, I want to invite you to something I think would help you. No benefit to you, but I think that, if you can start plugging into this, it could help you with your business and help you with your mindset. So
I actually just brought my agent Diana on the call as she's on her way to a home inspection. And I, during the middle of the call, was texting her and saying how important it is to join these calls and how you don't have to engage, but as long as you're on the call and you get some nugget, even one of the 2 calls a week, it's going to benefit you long term.
I mean, everybody that masterminds does it differently. Some of us are much more engaged and conversational. A lot of you, I see that you're driving, or you might just be listening to it while you're doing other things, and that's all great. I just want to make a little bit of a contribution. So if you can intentionally go out of your way to invite a colleague, even if they're not with Remax Select or Select Group, you say, hey, you know what? I respect you in the business. Maybe you want to join on to our calls. There's no catch. You don't even need to put your name in. You can just attend anonymously and listen to what we talk about, because I think that would help me help more people. And that's all good stuff.
An abundance in real estate mindset.
Yes, sir. You just want to, think abundantly, not scarcity. Like when I started out, Jay, you've been doing this for a while, but you probably know that when you get a listing, there are always some people in the industry and maybe even your office. How did Jay get that listing? And that's the scarcity in real estate mindset. And we want to be the polar opposite of that. So please, I know it's probably not easy to, tap a friend or a colleague in your office and say, maybe you want to, hop on next week and, listen while you're driving or working out or whatever you do, and hopefully it makes a little bit of a contribution. And I try my best.
Thank you so much for this meeting, Rob. This is an awesome. Thank you.
You got it. I try my best to be consistent. I apologize for the delay, but with the time difference and I have a travel arrangement tomorrow, it would have been impossible for Friday. So thank you for fitting me in on a Thursday. Appreciate you all.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
you.